The Forgotten Promise. The fragrance of simmering Creole spices filled the kitchen of Riviera's, a modest family restaurant tucked away in New Orleans' French Quarter. Marcus Rivera wiped beads of sweat from his brow as he expertly flipped the contents of a cast-iron skillet. At 26, his hands moved with the confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime in kitchens, transforming simple ingredients into extraordinary experiences. "Order up for table 7, he called, sliding a plate of blackened redfish across the counter to his cousin Miguel, who served as both waiter and host on busy nights. Miguel hesitated before taking the plate. "You might want to deliver this one yourself, Mark." "Why?" "I'm in the middle of, trust me, table 7. Sighing, Marcus untied his apron and stepped out from the kitchen's heat into the dining room's warm amber glow. The restaurant wasn't fancy. Mismatched chairs, tables covered with checkered cloths, and walls adorned with family photos spanning 3 generations of Rivera chefs. But it was authentic, which was why locals kept returning. Table 7 was tucked in the corner by the window, partially hidden behind an ancient ficus his grandmother had insisted brought good fortune. As Marcus approached, he noticed her immediately, a woman with honey-brown skin and eyes that seemed to change color when she tilted her head. She wore a simple white dress that somehow looked more elegant than the designer outfits worn by tourists who occasionally wandered in. "I hear the chef has recommendations," she said when he reached the table, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. Marcus realized he had been staring. "The redfish is particularly good tonight. The fisherman who supplies us caught it this morning." She smiled, and something shifted in the space between them. "I trust your judgment." As Marcus set down her plate, their fingers brushed momentarily. The contact lasted less than a second, but sent an electric current up his arm. "I'm Sophia," she offered. "Marcus Rivera. This is my family's place. I can tell. It feels loved." Those 4 words, "it feels loved," struck him deeply. That's exactly what he strived for but had never articulated. Sophia Blackwood wasn't supposed to be in New Orleans at all. As the daughter of Harrison Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood International Hotels, her summer had been meticulously planned with internships and networking events designed to prepare her for eventually taking over the family empire. But when her father's manipulative tactics had become too suffocating, she'd impulsively boarded a flight to the one city she'd always wanted to explore. New Orleans, with its music and mysticism, felt like the perfect escape. Finding the small restaurant had been serendipitous. A local woman at the hotel had recommended it with a wink. Not where the tourists go, but where the food sings. Now, watching the chef return to his kitchen, Sophia understood what the woman meant. The food didn't just taste exceptional. It carried emotion, heritage, and passion in every bite. When Marcus returned to check on her, she asked, "Would you show me New Orleans? The real city, not what's in guidebooks." The question surprised him. "I'm just a chef. You're someone who loves this city. I can taste it in your food." That night after closing, Marcus found himself walking alongside Sophia through streets humming with jazz. He showed her hidden courtyards and told stories of the city's resilience through hurricanes and hardship. Sophia listened with genuine interest, and Marcus found himself sharing more than he typically would. His dreams of expanding the restaurant, the culinary scholarship he'd had to decline when his father got sick, how cooking connected him to his grandmother, who had taught him his first recipes. "What about you?" he asked as they stood on a pedestrian bridge, the Mississippi River reflecting moonlight below. "What brings an heiress to my humble restaurant?" Sophia's eyebrows rose. "You recognized me? Your father's hotels are legendary. There was a feature on your family in a magazine I was reading at the barbershop." He smiled sheepishly. "Plus, Miguel Googled you while I was cooking your dinner." She laughed, the sound carrying over the water. "I'm trying to find something real. Everything in my world is calculated. Relationships as strategic alliances, friendships as business connections." She turned to face him. "Tonight was the first authentic conversation I've had in years." The admission hung between them, vulnerable and honest. When she shivered slightly in the night breeze, Marcus instinctively moved closer. Their hands found each other, fingers intertwining as naturally as if they'd done this 1,000 times before. "I'm only here for 2 weeks," Sophia whispered, her face tilted up toward his. "Then we shouldn't waste time," Marcus replied, leaning down until their lips met in a kiss that tasted of possibility. As they walked back toward her hotel, the city seemed to conspire around them, musicians playing more sweetly, gas lamps burning more warmly, as if New Orleans itself approved of this unlikely connection between a chef with calloused hands and an heiress seeking something genuine in a world built on appearances. Neither could have predicted how those 2 weeks would transform them, or that their paths, once crossed, would prove impossible to disentangle, no matter how forcefully the world tried to pull them apart. Separate paths, 2 weeks stretched into the most magical summer of Marcus's life. Every evening after closing the restaurant, he and Sophia explored New Orleans together. They danced to street musicians in hidden courtyards, shared beignets at sunrise by the river, and kissed in the summer rain beneath wrought iron balconies. In Sophia's presence, Marcus dreamed bigger than he ever had before. He shared his vision for transforming Rivieras into a destination that honored his family's culinary traditions while pushing boundaries. Sophia listened, not with the polite interest of someone humoring him, but with genuine excitement and practical suggestions born from her business acumen. "You could expand into the vacant space next door," she said one night as they lay tangled in sheets at her hotel, her fingers tracing patterns on his bare chest. "Feature a chef's table where you showcase experimental dishes." Marcus propped himself up on one elbow, admiring how the moonlight filtered through the curtains illuminated her face. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," Sophia said, reaching up to touch his face. "But it's possible. You have something special, Marcus. The way you transform food into feelings, it's a gift." Their nights together became increasingly intimate, not just physically but emotionally. Marcus revealed his fears of disappointing his family, of reaching for dreams too big and failing. Sophia confessed her exhaustion at being Harrison Blackwood's daughter, rather than simply Sophia, a woman with her own desires and ambitions. But paradise never lasts. On a humid August morning, Sophia's phone rang during breakfast at a small cafe. Her face paled as she listened to the voice on the other end. "It's my father," she whispered after ending the call. "He's here in New Orleans." Harrison Blackwood had not become one of the world's most successful hoteliers without developing an extensive network of informants. When his daughter disappeared, he'd given her space, assuming she was working through a predictable phase of rebellion. But when rumors reached him about her involvement with a nobody chef, he decided to intervene personally. "He wants to meet you," Sophia said, her voice strained. Marcus reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "Then I'll meet him." The meeting took place in the presidential suite of the city's most exclusive hotel. Harrison Blackwood was a tall man with silver hair and piercing eyes that assessed Marcus with cold calculation. "So you're the distraction that's kept my daughter from her responsibilities," he said without offering to shake hands. "Father?" "Please," Sophia interjected. "I understand you operate a small establishment in the quarter," Harrison continued, the word establishment dripping with condescension. "Charming, I'm sure, but hardly suitable company for the future CEO of Blackwood International." Marcus kept his composure. "With all due respect, sir, your daughter is brilliant, compassionate, and deserves to be valued for more than her corporate potential." Something dangerous flickered in Harrison's eyes. "Young man, you have no idea what you've stumbled into. The Blackwood name carries responsibilities and expectations that existed long before you served my daughter your local cuisine." After Marcus left, Harrison delivered his ultimatum to Sophia. Either she would board the corporate jet with him tomorrow to oversee the opening of their Singapore property, or he would ensure that the Rivera family restaurant faced sudden tax audits, health inspections, and licensing issues that would inevitably force its closure. "You wouldn't," Sophia whispered, horrified. "For your future?" Without hesitation, her father replied. "This infatuation ends now." That night, Sophia met Marcus by the river, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "I have to go," she said, her voice breaking. "My father, he'll destroy your family's restaurant if I don't." Marcus felt his world crumbling. "We can fight him together." "I'm not afraid." Sophia touched his face gently. "I know you're not. That's why I love you. But this isn't about courage. My father operates in a world where everything and everyone has a price. He'll target your family, your suppliers, the bank that holds your loan. I can't let that happen." Under the same moon that had witnessed their first kiss, they made an impossible promise. 5 years. Sophia would fulfill her obligations, learn the business from the inside, gain enough power and autonomy to stand against her father. Marcus would build his dream. Make Rivieras into something even Harrison Blackwood couldn't dismiss. 5 years, Marcus whispered against her lips, and then we find each other again. The next morning, a black car took Sophia to the airport. Marcus watched from the shadows, his heart shattering with each step she took away from him. Neither knew if promises made in desperation could withstand the relentless pressure of time and distance. Building dreams 3 years into their separation, Marcus stood in what had once been a dilapidated building adjacent to the original Rivieras. Construction dust covered his clothes as he visualized the space transformed. Exposed brick walls, an open kitchen where guests could watch the culinary magic happen, large windows overlooking a courtyard that would grow fresh herbs and vegetables. The original restaurant had thrived under his determined innovation. National food critics had taken notice of the young chef who honored traditional Creole cuisine while infusing it with contemporary techniques. Reservations now required booking months in advance, and the additional space would allow Marcus to realize the next phase of his vision. The contractors say they can finish by March, Miguel said, examining the blueprints spread across a makeshift table. Just in time for the spring tourist season. Marcus nodded, running his fingers through his hair now streaked with premature silver at the temples, despite being only 29. We'll need to start hiring additional staff soon. Have you decided on a name? Miguel asked. Marcus had. Sophia's. The name had slipped out before he could stop himself. Miguel's expression softened with concern. Mark, it's been 3 years without a word from her. That wasn't entirely true. There had been one postcard from Singapore arriving 6 months after she left. It contained only 5 words. I still believe, do you? Marcus had written dozens of replies, but all were returned with the same message. No recipient at this address. She'll come back, Marcus said with quiet certainty. And I'll have built something worthy of her. Half a world away in Hong Kong, Sophia Blackwood sat in a sleek corporate boardroom, presenting quarterly projections to Blackwood International's executive team. At 27, she had proven herself a formidable businesswoman, successfully launching 3 new properties across Asia and implementing sustainability initiatives that had earned the company significant positive press. Excellent work as always, Ms. Blackwood, said Thomas Chen, the company's CFO. Your father would be pleased. Sophia maintained her professional smile, though the mention of her father still triggered a complex mix of emotions. Harrison Blackwood had suffered a minor stroke 18 months ago, forcing him to reduce his direct involvement in daily operations. While Sophia had stepped up admirably, their relationship remained strained and formal. Later that evening in her luxury apartment overlooking Victoria Harbor, Sophia opened her laptop and did what she had done every week for 3 years. Searched for news about Marcus Rivera and Rivieras. Tonight, a new article appeared. New Orleans chef Marcus Rivera expands award-winning restaurant, announces new concept. The article included a photo of Marcus standing in a construction site, looking more mature than she remembered, his expression serious but his eyes still holding that same passion that had captured her heart. Sophia touched the screen gently, as if she could reach through it to the man who remained vivid in her dreams despite the passing years. Her phone chimed with a message from her assistant. Your father has requested your presence in New York next week to discuss the new boutique hotel initiative. Sophia's heart raced. The boutique hotel initiative was her brainchild, a plan to partner with distinctive local restaurants to create authentic culinary experiences within Blackwood properties. She had been developing it quietly for years, positioning it as a business strategy while knowing in her heart it was also a path that might legitimately lead her back to Marcus. With trembling fingers, she replied, Please confirm my attendance. 2 more years passed. Marcus's expanded restaurant empire, he still refused to call it that, had grown to include the original Rivieras, the larger Sophia's next door, and a cooking school where he taught underprivileged youth culinary skills. His face had appeared on national cooking shows, and a cookbook featuring his family's recipes mixed with his innovations had become a surprise bestseller. Yet success felt hollow without Sophia. 5 years had nearly passed, and though he had built everything they had dreamed of that summer, he had no way of knowing if she remembered their promise or if she would return to claim it. The morning sun filtered through the curtains of Marcus's French Quarter apartment, illuminating Sophia's profile as she slept beside him. After their reunion the previous day, they had talked until the restaurant closed, then continued their conversation here, words giving way to touches that rekindled a connection time had been powerless to diminish. Marcus traced the curve of her shoulder lightly, still disbelieving that she was truly here. Sophia stirred, her eyes opening slowly. "I was afraid I'd dreamed you," she murmured, reaching up to touch his face. "I'm real," he assured her, turning to kiss her palm. "We're real." The simple breakfast they prepared together in his kitchen felt more intimate than their passionate reunion. Domestic moments. Marcus teaching Sophia his grandmother's technique for perfect scrambled eggs. Sophia laughing as she tried to flip a pancake and failed spectacularly. Created a vision of the life they might build together. But reality couldn't be held at bay forever. Sophia's phone rang insistently until she finally answered, her expression growing serious as she listened. "My father," she explained after ending the call. "He's arriving in New Orleans this afternoon. Apparently news of our committee meeting reached him." Marcus set down his coffee cup. 5 years later, and we're still facing the same obstacle. "Not the same," Sophia corrected him. "I'm not the same woman who left you. I control 30% of Blackwood International now. I've built alliances on the board. My father can't threaten you anymore. Not without consequences." Their strategy session was interrupted by an urgent knock. Miguel burst in without waiting for a response, his face flushed with excitement. "Mark, you need to see this." He thrust a tablet toward them, displaying the morning's digital edition of the New York Times. The headline read, "Culinary Genius Meets Hotel Heiress, the Power Couple Reshaping Hospitality." Beneath it was a photo of Sophia entering Marcus's restaurant, followed by one of them standing close together near the window of his private dining room. The article detailed their surprise, reunion, and speculated about both their personal history and the business implications of a partnership between Blackwood International and Rivera Culinary Group. "Someone leaked this," Sophia said, scanning the article. "My father's doing, no doubt. He's trying to control the narrative." Marcus took her hand. "Then let's write our own." Harrison Blackwood arrived at Sophia's restaurant with the imperious confidence of someone accustomed to commanding any room he entered. Despite his recent health issues, he remained an intimidating figure, with a shock of silver hair and calculating eyes. He found Marcus and Sophia waiting for him at a corner table, their hands clasped together on the tabletop in unmistakable unity. "I see some things never change," Harrison said coldly, lowering himself into a chair across from them. "Including your penchant for disappointing me, Sophia." "I've grown one of our most successful regional divisions," Sophia replied evenly. "I've increased our sustainability profile and developed innovative partnerships that have enhanced our brand value. The only disappointment here is your inability to recognize my success because it doesn't conform to your narrow vision." Harrison's gaze shifted to Marcus. "And you? I should have crushed your little restaurant when I had the chance. But you didn't," Marcus said calmly. "And now it's too late. I've built something that stands on its own merits. Something even you have to acknowledge has value, or you wouldn't be here." Harrison's expression remained stony, but something flickered in his eyes, perhaps recognition, perhaps respect, perhaps simply calculation. The board is intrigued by this partnership concept. They believe it has potential to differentiate us in key markets. Sophia squeezed Marcus's hand. "It's more than a concept. It's the future of hospitality. Authentic, community-connected experiences that can't be replicated by competitors." "And it's not negotiable," Marcus added. "Sophia and I are a package deal, professionally and personally." For a long moment, Harrison was silent, his gaze moving between them as if reassessing a complex equation. Finally, he sighed, some of the rigid hostility leaving his posture. "You're as stubborn as your mother was," he told Sophia, his voice softening slightly. "She would have liked him, you know. She always said I was too concerned with pedigrees and not enough with passion." The mention of her mother, who had died when Sophia was 12, momentarily stunned her. Harrison rarely spoke of his late wife. "The board meeting is next Thursday in New York," Harrison continued, rising from his chair. "I expect a comprehensive presentation on this partnership initiative from both of you." He paused, then added grudgingly, "The food here is exceptional. Perhaps there's some merit to your vision after all." After he left, Sophia released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Did that just happen? Did my father actually give us his blessing? In his own emotionally stunted way? Marcus laughed, the tension of the encounter dissolving. I think he gave us a challenge. One I'm definitely up for if you are. Later that evening, they stood on the balcony of Marcus's apartment, the sounds of jazz floating up from the street below as the city came alive with night music. Sophia leaned back against his chest, his arms wrapped securely around her waist. 5 years ago, I made you a promise by this river, she said, looking out toward the Mississippi. I kept it even when everything seemed impossible. And I promised to build something worthy of your return, Marcus replied, his lips close to her ear. Though I realized something today when your father was sitting in my restaurant. Our restaurant, Sophia corrected with a smile. Our restaurant, he agreed. I realized that everything I built with you in mind, but not for you. I built it for us, for the future we imagined together. Sophia turned in his arms to face him. And now that future is here. Almost, Marcus said, reaching into his pocket. He withdrew a small box, opening it to reveal a vintage ring with a sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. This was my grandmother's. She made me promise to save it for someone who understood that love, like great cooking, requires patience, passion, and unwavering faith in possibilities. Sophia's eyes filled with tears as Marcus knelt before her. 5 years ago, we made a promise to find our way back to each other. Now I'm asking you to make a new promise to build our future together, day by day, no matter what challenges come our way. Under a New Orleans moon, with music rising from the streets below, Sophia gave her answer, not just with words, but with a kiss that sealed a promise even time couldn't break. In the shadows across the street, a figure with striking violet eyes observed the couple's embrace. Lyra had been monitoring Earth's relationship patterns for her research, and this particular pair had demonstrated exceptional resilience. She made a note in her quantum tablet. Human pair bonding demonstrates remarkable temporal persistence despite separation. Perhaps there was something to learn from these humans after all.